Okay, thank you again for joining us today. I'm Elizabeth Davis. I will be your host for the next hour. We're very excited to present Lydall's story about replacing their ADI and FSGs with Spreadsheet Server. Through the course of today's presentation, we'll do a quick history about global software, the solutions that we have to offer, and then I'm going to hand it over pretty quickly to Brendan and Dale at Lydall to talk about their story, what their struggles were before Spreadsheet Server, and what they've done to improve their process. And at the end, we'll hand it over to Caitlin Gill to do a demonstration, a live demonstration of Spreadsheet Server. And as we go throughout the presentation, please ask your questions through the Q&A panel. We'll either answer them as we go or wrap them up at the end. All right, so let's meet your presenters. Brendan Moynihan is the Director of Corporate Financial Planning and Analysis at Lydall. He joined the Spreadsheet Server project about a year ago, so I've had the pleasure of working with him for the last year. And he's got a great history through working in finance and accounting, and is a wonderful presence there at Lydall. So I'm very fortunate to have him here in the conversation with us today. We also have Dale Conway on the call. Dale and I have worked together for the last 2 years trying to get solutions in place to solve some of the problems they'll be talking about today at Lydall. He's a system analyst there, and great IT business analyst background with him, and he's been very crucial in getting Spreadsheet Server in place at Lydall. So he's got a lot of the history before and after. He's got over 25 years at Lydall, so I'm very pleased to have them. Caitlin Gill is our Director of Solutions Enablement Team. As I mentioned, she'll be walking you through the presentation, live demonstration at the end of the presentation today. Caitlin's been with Global Software for almost 10 years, and she's got about 15 years in accounting and finance software industry. So she's a great asset to have at Global Software, one of my favorite teammates to work with. I'm very pleased to have her on the line. And as I mentioned, I'm Elizabeth Davis. I'm the Senior Excel Automation Advisor at Global Software. I've been here for about 3 years. Prior to my journey here, I was an Excel reporting consultant, and then prior to that, I was an accountant for 9 years at Whole Foods Market. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Global Software and a quick history. Global Software has been around since 1973. Our worldwide headquarters is in Raleigh, North Carolina. We have support, that's where our support and development is based out of. We also have a support office in Seattle, Washington. We have an office in New York, London, and we've added an office in Perth, Australia recently. We're the #1 provider of Microsoft Excel automation solutions for the worldwide Oracle marketplace, and also I think it's important to mention that we have almost another 100 ERP systems that we integrate with as well, and other systems as well like Salesforce.com. We have over 4,500 supported customers worldwide, and as I mentioned, 24/7, 365 support based across our different support offices. So the solutions we'll be talking about today, the main solution is Spreadsheet Server. It's simply an Excel add-in that allows our customers to connect to their data and do real-time reporting in Excel. So we say start in Excel, stay in Excel, and with that we have a host of solutions. We also have a distribution manager, so you have these reports created, you need to send them out throughout the organization. Distribution manager automates that process with a query design tool, which is a great replacement for Discover in the Oracle space or other tools that may be out there, or just to expand the reach of your reporting. We also have an Excel write-back, spreadsheet write-back as well as an offering. Since we're an Excel add-in, we have lots of customers across the market space, anywhere from banking and manufacturing. You have people who are in distribution and retail, whether that's customers like Rack Room Shoes or Sega or Southern Company. We have a lot of cities. As you can imagine, everyone uses Excel, so there's across the board different industries represented in our customer base. All right, and with that quick introduction, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Dale and Brendan to take it away, talk about their history, where they came from before in their reporting, and where they are now.
Okay, Elizabeth, thanks. This is Brendan Moynihan. I'm the Director of FP&A for Lydall Corp. Just a couple little background on Lydall itself. As you can see on the slide here, we're a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange. We are headquartered in Manchester, Connecticut, but have locations across 6 countries globally throughout North America, Europe, and Asia. And our company is really divided into 4 business segments. 2 of them are heavily focused on the automotive markets, supplying thermal and acoustical engineered solutions, both for metals and for fibers, fiber-related business. And the other 2 segments focus primarily on industrial and filtration segments. Each one makes up about 25%, give or take, of roughly $570 million of revenue that we did last year. So it's quite a challenge to integrate all the data, and in particular, I'd like to mention over the past year we've done 2 acquisitions, one in Canada and one in Europe. So it's also been kind of a challenge to integrate those into the business, but we're in the process of doing that now. So given an overview of the business, what I'd like to do is give Dale a couple minutes to talk about kind of what our IT infrastructure looks like in terms of the global footprint.
Thanks. To describe our IT environment, as Brendan said, we have 4 manufacturing facilities in the U.S. We also have plants in China, the U.K., Canada, and 3 other countries in Europe. And Oracle is approximately 60% of our IT footprint, since we have several other ERPs like J.D. Edwards, SAP Business One, and other smaller systems we use. And we have those mainly due to acquisitions that we've made over the years. Lydall began using Oracle actually in 1998, which is when we first began using GLDI, which is, became ADI over the years. We are now using, for the application, we're on the 11.5.10.2 release. We are not using release 12. We have a single worldwide database, 1 instance. Oracle is our consolidated general ledger system because everybody's official numbers end up in Oracle on a monthly basis. And that gives us the need for people all over the world to access their info in a single database located here in Connecticut. To accomplish this reporting worldwide, we use the Spreadsheet Server, and the people not in Manchester are using remote desktop services along with Globus Smart Cache product to provide the response times that we need. We also have connected the Spreadsheet Server to our SAP Business One and plan on connecting it to J.D. Edwards and some of our other ERPs as we go along. We have also addressed and we'll continue to work on retrieving what we call a non-financial or non-general ledger data. We use the query designer that Elizabeth mentioned earlier to create custom queries that allows our users to get data out of other areas or modules in Oracle, such as sales reporting. We have detailed purchase order information with the corresponding payables information, and this puts it all directly into Excel, which is what everybody in our company is always asking for and wants.
All right. Well, thanks, Dale. All right, so I have a few slides here. Basically, what I wanted to do is illustrate what I'm calling the legacy reporting process. So I came on board here at Lydall last July, so it's coming up almost on a year. And the process that had been in place for several years, as Dale alluded to, is heavily rooted in Oracle, and that is, although we have several ERP systems globally, that is the financial consolidation tool that's used. And historically, that's been through ADI. So as we kind of follow the process flow here from left to right, everything from the actuals actual financial data is stored in Oracle, as are budgets and forecasts. The main tool that was used to extract that data was the ADI tool with Oracle, and we were running, quite honestly, a rather outdated version of that. It's not web-based. It right now is running on a Citrix server on a much older version of Windows and so forth. But regardless, the primary consolidation and reporting on any given month was all done through what I'm calling static templates. In other words, these were reports that were defined in ADI. They've been standard reports that have been run for quite a long period of time, and all the data is extracted. So if you can imagine, typically on a given month, we're extracting P&Ls, working capital data, some free cash flow related data for the actuals, also for the forecast and budget, for give or take about 40 to 45 entities globally. And while the process at the time may have worked, at this point, really what I found when I came into the business were trying to extract all of the data we could ever possibly need, because ADI reports are, quite honestly, very difficult to author and to maintain. So those templates stayed very static over time. And then once we got the data out and into Excel, we were then linking spreadsheets to other spreadsheets to other spreadsheets to get more spreadsheets. So that box of report linkages was almost a whole process into itself, just to maintain those linkages, make sure that everything was properly linked, Excel sheet to Excel sheet, and it took quite a significant amount of time. And all of that then drove the management reports that we actually produced and distributed out to the management team for use on a monthly basis. In terms of time, at the end of any given month, typically this was about a 6 to 8 hour process once the financials were actually submitted into Oracle and finalized, to go through this process. And I say 6 to 8 hours, sometimes it would take more. Very few times did it take less. And sometimes we would wind up repeating it a couple times in any given month. There's a lot of boxes here and a lot of symbols for Excel sheets, and really what I'm just trying to illustrate here is the number of linkages between the reports that were pulled down from ADI, which are outlined in, I guess, kind of like a darker blue or black. Those were then linked to other Excel spreadsheets that are outlined in more of a gray color. And all of this process was driving the, let's say 9 or 10 primary deliverables for management reporting that are outlined in the, I guess, kind of the double light green bar in the center. And there's a couple numbers on the page here. So for example, on the left-hand side, you see in the vertical box there 50, and in the horizontal box towards the top left 64. So really what I'm trying to illustrate there is we would pull down, if you added it all up, probably hundreds of worksheets worth of data in Excel. Physically, there were probably about 25 to 30 workbooks if you were to count up all the symbols here. And all of that had to get linked together in such a way that we could go and retrieve the data and use it for management reporting. So very convoluted process. It evolved over many years. And to be transparent, given the tools that we had within ADI, it was, short of some other significant investment, was probably the best we could hope for it, given the tools that we had. So fast forward a little bit into the current state process. We've really kind of streamlined the entire process. So everything still obviously is rooted in Oracle in terms of the financial data. But we've collapsed a couple boxes here and a lot of complexity into what I call dynamic templates. And so these are templates that you see the saying right underneath the box, create it once, use it many times. So these are templates that once I go ahead and create it within Global in Excel using the Spreadsheet Server add-in, I'm able to, on the fly, go ahead and change these. So if I need a different operating entity or a different set of accounts or a different month, or I want to do a year-to-date report or a particular quarter, all of those parameters can be changed very easily and the data retrieved directly from Oracle. So the key here is we've gone from the legacy system where I retrieved every bit of data I thought I might ever need through an ADI report and I've replaced it with probably a half a dozen really key dynamic templates that I can go and I can use to drill down. I can change periods. I can pull just the data that I need and start interrogating it and drilling down to see what the driver of the financial performance is. And that obviously streamlines then the management reporting, which can be done much quicker. So variance analysis, forecast, we have operational reviews each month, we have board of director packages. All of that can be put into a template within Excel, pull the data directly from Oracle, and you can reuse that work month to month, period to period, with very minimal changes. So you may recall in the legacy process I was saying on a given month it would take anywhere between 6 to 8 hours, and sometimes, unfortunately, if there were issues, significantly more than that. I've had that streamlined down now. We're probably looking at about 1 hour at the end of each month. Once the data is finalized in Oracle, I simply open up Excel, I go into Global Spreadsheet, pull the data that I need. If I see something that doesn't look right, I'm able to dynamically drill right down into it. I'm able to find if there's any errors or any issues, go question whoever may have loaded the data and get to the bottom of those issues very quickly. So it's really improved our month-end, quarter-end process from internal management reporting. So some of the key items that I look at as the process enhancements over the past 12 months, I think I talked primarily about monthly consolidation and reporting in the prior slides. Again, big time savings there. Variance analysis has become significantly easier because if I want to go, maybe I'm looking at a variance to prior year, and now I want to look at a variance to forecast. It's just a quick change of a parameter within the spreadsheet. I refresh the data, and it's right there in front of me. I don't have to go start, looking through other spreadsheets or manually flipping between pages and trying to calculate data that way. Intercompany sales analysis was something that took quite a significant effort previously. While most of this is automated within Oracle for us, there's pockets of it that we need to validate and double check. And so within the legacy tool set, it was very difficult to get that data in a format that could be used. So we've developed a process there where I can simply pull all of the intercompany sales data right into Excel, do a couple VLOOKUPs, and am able to put everything into a pivot table very quickly to make sure that all the sales are clearing correctly. Expense reporting for our corporate headquarters is one of my responsibilities, and what we've used Global for there is to develop a couple standard formats so that at the end of each month I can distribute reports out to each of the budget owners within corporate so that they have visibility for the given month, year to date, and then also what their forecast and how they're doing versus budget, how all that's aligning. And what's been really helpful here is the distribution manager product that's part of Spreadsheet Server. We start with one standard sheet that basically, once you've finalized and you're sure that all the formats are correct, I can click on Distribution Manager and I can spit out, 8, 10, 12 different reports depending on how I want to configure it so that the budget owners can get that data directly and go to more of what I'll call a self-serve model, where I can provide them the spreadsheet and they can start taking a look at their own budgets and taking ownership of those expenses. So that's really streamlined that process. Purchasing data, Dale alluded to this a little bit before. We've been able to leverage, at least for the corporate headquarters and some of our sites within North America, a direct linkage into the AP system. So if I'm distributing a report to my corporate budget owners and they need to know, well, it looks like I purchased something here, can you give me more detail? It's very easy to provide that backup detail with the vendor detail so that they understand what those items are. So that's been a tremendous help as well. And two other areas that we've been able to leverage the global software product is on FX and organic sales analysis. Both of those were things that we could do before, but they were extremely intensive in terms of manual effort, and they depended on, again, running several iterations of reports through ADI in order to get the right information and then linking all of the data. We've been able to get that down now to, a couple sheets where we can quickly calculate what the FX impact is for a given quarter or a given month, and then also how to calculate organic sales. So I think that that's been a big win for us. I think with that, Caitlin, I will turn it back to you. I don't know if you wanted to open it for Q&A now or you're going to go into the demo, but we're open for either.
Great. Thank you so much. And that was amazing pieces and many pieces of information that you were able to share with all of us on this webinar. So we really appreciate hearing your story and how Spreadsheet Server has helped you. I think what we'll do next is we'll go ahead and jump into a very brief demonstration of Spreadsheet Server just to illustrate some of the things that that you guys went over when you were talking about how Lydall is using Spreadsheet Server. And then we'll open it up for Q&A after that, and that way people can ask questions that we may answer in the next part of the demonstration. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and share my desktop with you, and your screen will transition to an Excel spreadsheet, and we'll just illustrate again some of the pieces and parts that that you guys use and show them in real time. So starting from the beginning, just to dive a little bit deeper into Spreadsheet Server, how it's installed, what it is, our product lives in Excel. So when we talk about our logo being start in Excel, stay in Excel, that is 100% true, 100% factual. Our product is installed where Excel is installed, and you are doing all of your report building in Microsoft Excel. But your reports are dynamically connected to your database. So you can build reports one time, open them up, and you'll notice as I change, let's say, the period in this report, all of the numbers will update. So again, after that one-time build in Excel, from that point forward, your reporting is as simple as opening a spreadsheet and watching those numbers update right in front of your eyes. And so this is a really powerful piece of the product, just being able to set up a spreadsheet once and have that real-time data at your fingertips. But what's even more important to a lot of our users is the ability to look at the details behind the numbers, dig deep into the numbers in the report, and answer your questions without leaving Excel. So the drill down is also very important. So as I'm looking at this information, if I wanted to hit that drill down button when my cursor is on cell E22 for revenue, in the drill down window, I can immediately take a look at the detailed balances that make up that number in the report. So I can see the balances behind that number, and then I can continue to drill from here to the journal entry detail. You can see I'm looking at a sales invoice, so if I wanted to drill back to the actual invoice image, I have that capability as well. So without leaving the spreadsheet, I can drill down and actually see an invoice, which is pretty cool. For variance analysis, I can do a multi-cell drill down, so I can highlight multiple columns and drill, and within the drill down window, take a look at detailed balances for, in this case, my actual and budgeted numbers. So it will show me the detailed balances for both, and then also create a variance column to where I can compare the two on the fly. So this can be helpful when you're looking at several different things, actual to budget, quarter over quarter, period to period, maybe comparing companies, comparing departments. Either way, it's always helpful to have that detailed variance. And you can also very easily take this detail and push it out to a spreadsheet. So I can drill down into a worksheet, and what this does is it pushes those results into another tab of my report. So for auditing or reconciliation purposes, or if I needed to respond to a particular inquiry, I have this information in Excel. You can truly create any type of report in Spreadsheet Server. So I know you guys went through a couple examples of the reports that you create, but we're not limited to any particular area like the general ledger. So while you can certainly do this to create dynamic GL reports, you can also use it to create dashboards. You can use it to hone in on any particular area like orders or inventory. You can use it to pull from multiple sources. So I know we mainly focused on Oracle, but you can use it to pull from multiple databases. So like at Lydall, whether you're using Sage and SAP as well as Oracle, or if you're using JD Edwards, or maybe a homegrown system that you may be using, you can connect to any and all databases and use Spreadsheet Server as your one-stop shop to build a dashboard looking at all. So in this report that we have up on the screen here, I've got sales information, but this is coming from SAP. So I can drill down here and take a look at sales data, and you'll notice in the drill down window when it pops up, that's coming from an SAP system. My project information is coming from Oracle, so I can drill down here, take a look at projects. This is coming from an Oracle database. My salary information is coming from PeopleSoft, so I can drill down here, take a look at salary details, and it's going to show me that information is coming from PeopleSoft. And then my AR information is coming from a SQL system, so I can drill down here, look at my customers that are in the 1 to 30 day past due range coming from a SQL system. So in a single spreadsheet, I'm connected to 4 different databases, and I can drill on all of them. So it's great to have all of these completed reports. But a lot of people will ask, well, is it really that easy to get them set up? And I know that the folks at Lydall have talked a little bit about that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how easy it is to build one of these as well. So I'm going to insert a new tab into my report, open up my Build a Template wizard, and we'll use this to get started. So there's a couple different ways you can build reports specifically coming out of Oracle. You can start from a blank spreadsheet, which is what I'm going to show you. You can convert FSGs. That's also an option. If anyone's using Discover, we can convert those reports as well. And we can also take an existing spreadsheet, a static spreadsheet, and we can populate our formulas into it to make it live and dynamic. So I'm going to show you 2 options, starting from scratch and converting an FSG. So if you're starting from scratch, worst case scenario, you'll notice on the left side of the screen there are 6 formulas. These are all a part of our product. Our tool is completely formula driven. So the cool thing about Spreadsheet Server is you're not really learning a new reporting tool, you're just learning how to use a new formula in Excel. Our formulas are driven by very simple parameters. These are accounting parameters. They're not technical, so we're not asking the end users to be familiar with files or fields or tables. We're asking them to be familiar with things like what type of balance would they like to look at, actual or budget. What year do they want to see in the report? We would select our format, so whether we want to look at balances by period, quarter, year to date, life to date, or range. We're going to select period in this example, and we'll start with period 4. We have our account segments, which can be placed on the row or the column. So again, you have complete and total flexibility in how you set these reports up. You don't have to memorize your account segments. So that's always a nice one for me. So I don't have to remember that operations is company 1. I can just select operations, and it will pull in that company number for me. Department, I'm going to leave this as an asterisk, which indicates a wildcard. So that will pull in all departments. And we'll say I want to look at all accounts that begin with 5. And that's all I have to do to get started. Just identify those very simple accounting parameters, insert that formula into the spreadsheet, and Spreadsheet Server will now set up that formula and those parameters in Excel. So it's doing all of my syntaxing and cell referencing for me, returning a balance that I can immediately drill into to take a look at the detail behind that number. And then from here, I am simply using Excel to build my report. So now I can take that formula, and if I copy row 14 down about 3 rows, it's going to copy that formula down on each row. So now I can just change the parameters that are going to drive that formula in Excel. So I might want to look at a couple single accounts and maybe an account range. You'll notice as I make these changes, my balances are updating. I can also just use simple Excel features like the auto sum feature to summarize my column. We'll do a little formatting. And then I can take column E and I'm going to copy that across a couple columns. Now that I have my parameters across the column, I can now change the period and maybe also change the format to look at a roll-up for the 2nd quarter. If I wanted to look at the prior year, well, that's easy. I can just change my format to year-to-date, period 12, and change this to 2007. Charts and graphs, that's all just Excel functionality. So you can very easily add those in as well because you're just using Excel's charting and graphing capabilities. So again, you don't have to relearn a reporting tool because we already know how to use Excel. You can add in Excel formulas to display variances. So getting from here to something that looks a little nicer like my P&L is just adding in your Excel formulas, adding in a chart, maybe setting up a drop-down menu. But once that report is complete, it's live and dynamic. You open it up, you change things in the report, and it's updating in front of your eyes. So what we just saw was the worst case scenario, building a report from scratch. Remember, you can also start with an existing report, or if you're using FSGs, you can convert those. So in my Build a Template wizard, I also had an option to select the FSG report menu. So that's going to pull in all of my FSGs. I can select the one that I'd like to convert. We'll say our balance sheet. And then Spreadsheet Server will just convert that report for us. So I'll just insert that FSG into my spreadsheet. You'll see that Spreadsheet Server is now populating all of the rows and all of the columns. So it's setting up all of those row and column definitions. It's adding my Spreadsheet Server formulas into the report. And then when it's complete, when that wheel stops spinning, I've got my FSG, which is now a converted Spreadsheet Server report. I've got real-time live numbers that I can drill into, take a look at the detail behind. So very easy, very simple way to get started. So using these formulas in Excel is very powerful. Any user of our product, a gold user, can use formulas not only for general ledger, but also formulas outside of the general ledger to build reports and convert FSGs. And then you also have a really nice feature called your distribution manager. So once your reports are built, this distribution manager is going to automate the sending of those reports out to other people. So let's say I have this P&L and I need to send it out to 10 different departments every month. Well, what I can do is I can go to my distribution manager and create a new control sheet. I believe that there's already one in this workbook, so I'm just going to scroll down to it. Oh, not on that side, so we'll see if it's on the other side. There it is. And you can see that I've started to create a distribution list. So a distribution list is essentially all the people that I'd like to send this report to. I can email the report, send it to SharePoint, save it to a shared file location, print it. I can do a combination of these options as well. So if I emailed the report, I'm using Outlook. This links up with my Outlook address book, so I could select the group or user that I'd like to send it to. I would compose my email, so I'm going to give it a really interesting subject. And then go to my miscellaneous tab, and I have some password protection options. So if I want to make sure Alan doesn't modify the report, I can set a modification password or add attachments. I can send the report in multiple file types, Excel, HTML, PDF, or Word. Of course, if I convert it to anything other than Excel, it would be static. If I keep it in Excel format, I can make it static by choosing Convert Formulas to Values. And then I can modify cells in the workbook based on who I'm sending it to. So if I wanted to send it to Alan, but I want him to receive this P&L for a particular department, not Department 420, what I can do is modify the P&L, modify cell N14, which holds the value for department, and change this to Alan's Department 450. So I can keep one master template and adjust it as it goes out. I can also specify which worksheets Alan receives. So if I wanted to send him the P&L only, I can add that one worksheet rather than sending the entire workbook. Or maybe that worksheet in a drill down report. And then I can push that line out to Excel and continue to build my distribution list. So now I can come back and add additional recipients. I might also want to send this to Anjali. We'll say Anjali is in a different department. So all I have to do is come in here and change the department number and push that next line out to Excel. So I build my distribution list once, and it's saved in my workbook. So I've got 4 recipients. I have my Raleigh users. I'm sending reports to SharePoint. I've got Alan and Anjali. And now every time I need to send reports to these users, I just simply hit distribute, and those reports go out automatically. If I wanted to schedule the distribution, that option is also there. So there's a profile scheduler I can utilize, which would allow me to set up the reports to go out on an automated schedule. So using the profile scheduler, I can say, okay, I'd like the reports to go out, but I want them to go out starting today, and I want them to go out starting at, we'll say 6 p.m. And then I could set it up on an automated schedule to go out every Wednesday at 6 p.m. So when I run that distribution, every Wednesday at 6 p.m., those reports will be kicked off to the individuals on that list. So this can be really helpful if you are sending reports out to 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, 500 users, as some of our clients do. Because you can keep a set of standard reports, master templates, if you will, and then have Distribution Manager modify those reports as they go out. So again, just wanted to give you that brief demonstration to showcase some of the features that Brendan was talking about and how Lydall uses Spreadsheet Server. So from here, what we'd like to do is just open up the call for any questions about Spreadsheet Server, anything that you've seen in this demonstration, and just let this be your time to ask those.
So to kick things off, we have a question about implementation. I'll do a quick overview of what a standard implementation looks like, and then I'm going to hand it over to Dale to talk a little bit about what it was like to install and kick it off at Lydall. So standard, it takes about an hour and a half to do an installation of Spreadsheet Server. It's not a full implementation. And depending on what areas of reporting you need to accomplish, we do a 2 to 5 day on-site training engagement. A lot of times our customers are up and running as soon as they're installed. I think that was definitely the case at Lydall. We did an installation and about a 1 hour quick start training, and Tim Riley and Robin Wesley were creating reports the same week. Brendan, Dale, do you want to talk a little bit about that? Dale, I know you were involved in that early process there.
You described it pretty well. It was technically, the installation was very easy, very straightforward, no problem whatsoever. People are great to work with. Then I think as far as actually getting to use it, every place, every user is different. So, you know, some people gravitate towards it. And as you said, those couple were off and running real quickly.
Yeah,
right.
No, I'll agree. I think in terms of the learning curve, most of the finance folks within the organization that have picked this up, I think have come up to speed pretty quick on it. I don't know who else is on the phone from other businesses, but anybody who's used Hyperion or Essbase in any format or way in the past, I think you'd find that the transition very seamless, because really what you're doing is just specifying the different parameters that you need to go pull the data from the data source that you're using.
That's right. And another thing, too, we do have an Oracle practice director, Tim Miller, and I think for you guys did the initial training, got up and running, and then about 6 months later, I don't know, 4 to 6 months later, you had Tim come out to do some additional query designer help with you, and that's something that we support our customers in as well when they need to have someone help, you know, push up their sleeves and get into the real gritty details. So, all right. Another question about support. So I mentioned at the beginning of the call, we do have 24/7, 365 support at Global Software. It's based out of our Raleigh, North Carolina office. We do have a pager system so our people are on call. Just for Dale and Brendan, you guys on the phone, what's your support experience been like at Global Software?
I would say the support has been very responsive, very good. Sometimes we send I usually send an email to the help desk. I get a quick response, and then the analyst, I'm not sure what you would call him, the analyst, the person who's actually going to help us, contacts us quickly, usually sets up a WebEx same day, and or whenever we want it to be. And it's been very, very good.
Yep, no, I would agree. I've a couple times had very specific targeted questions and have sent an email and gotten a pointed, targeted response back that, you know, addressed the specific question I was asking.
Fantastic. I love hearing that. And I'm glad that's been the experience, I would say, of, you know, one of the reasons our customers stay with us and we have such a low attrition rate because, you know, because of that support. So I'm glad it's been the case for you guys as well. All right. So we talked about the SAP B1 and Oracle being able to connect to other systems. For you guys, do you mind talking a little bit about I guess some of the other areas, you mentioned that you're looking to expand. Do you mind talking about some of the areas that you're looking to expand to with Spreadsheet Server?
I believe you're talking about what we consider the non-financials.
Right.
Speaking in Oracle, lingo, it's to get into the individual modules that, that aren't the general ledger modules. We're going to do a lot of work in our work in process area. Fixed assets should be very easy. We've already done a lot in the sales and, not related, but the purchasing and payables area that Brendan alluded to. So it's really, we look at it as an Oracle module by module basis.
Right. All right. And we gave you the tools to do that at your own pace, right? So you have Spreadsheet Server, you have the tools to do it, and a training engagement to give you some skills on how to use those, and then you can tackle them at will without having to, call and buy more software, which is always really nice.
Yeah,
although I love hearing.
As you said, we had Tim Miller follow up our initial training, and we're basically an Oracle shop. He's probably worked with Oracle, I don't know how many years, but a lot of years. Knows the tables, and what we brought him here for was to not only actually do some of that work, because he's glad to do that, but take our senior developers, the heavy-duty developers who live and breathe in the Oracle tables, and show them I would describe it as there's some slight syntax changes. You just can't take a piece of SQL and it's going to run 100%. You got to know little syntax changes. And it's worked well.
Fantastic. All right. Do we have any other questions from the audience? Okay, well, thank you all for attending. Brendan, Dale, thank you so much for joining us and talking about Spreadsheet Server and what you guys have done with it at Lydall. I appreciate your time and your partnership. I've enjoyed working with you over the past couple years, Dale, and the last year or so, Brendan. And Caitlin, of course, thank you for your presentation. We appreciate all of you for attending today. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to us. You can reach out to me directly, or you can go to our website, globalsoftwareinc.com. We have chat, or you can request a live demo for a one-on-one session as well. So thank you again. I hope you have a wonderful day.